Hello painters, it's Debbie from acrylicpouring.com and I'm back today for just a quick video. I thought it would be really interesting and helpful to make something I'm going to call acrylic pouring snippets. Just short little videos full of information that beginners might want to know in response really to some of the frequently asked questions I get in our Facebook group. So today let's talk about the torch, because sometimes I'm asked, what does the torch do? What features do I need on a torch? How does it work? And sometimes even how do I refill it? So let's take a look at my torch. These are commonly called butane torches or chef's torches. Sometimes you'll see them called craft torches depending on where they're sold. If they're called a craft torch, they'll probably be more expensive but no more different. So look out for the ones that are called chef's torches. I'm going to provide a link underneath to the Acrylic Pouring Amazon page, where if you're in the US you can order your torch through there. Some of them will have a stand. This one has a little plastic stand like this, so the torch can kind of sit in it and won't turn over. In terms of some of the features, pretty much they're going to be the same on all torches. So on the reverse just here you have a pull down button, which is like a safety button, because you cannot ignite the torch with this large button unless at the same time you pull down this one. So it's a safety button. Then on this side, if I bring it in closer, I have a little knob which goes backwards and forwards, and if you look very carefully there's a plus and a minus sign, and this basically makes the torch, makes the flame on the torch bigger or smaller. So that is my small setting and I generally keep it on there. Then on the other side of the torch I've got this little button here which is a lock button. So if I want to, I can turn the torch on and then I don't need to keep my finger on the trigger. I can press the lock button and the torch will stay on until I flick the switch back and it's off. So in terms of how to light it, I need to pull down this switch here, and at the same time, as that one is now pulled down, my safety switch, this has now released the trigger. So I press that one and the torch ignites. And now, can you see the flame? Yes, I think you can. You can just about see the flame in the torch. Now I can set it now to continuous with my little lock switch just here, and which means I can let go of this one and the flame is still coming out of the torch. So over here I've now got my low and high setting. It's presently on low, and I'm going to switch it to high and just listen to the sound of the flame when I change it. You see how it got quieter and noisier depending on whether the flame was higher or lower. You can also affect the flame and how strong it is by how much gas you have in there, because if I continue to use my torch on and on and on, eventually as the gas pressure in this part of the torch here got less, then the flame would be less. So even if I turned it up high, if there's not much gas in there, you're only going to get a small flame. So that's also something to bear in mind when you're thinking about refilling your torch. So in terms of refilling, you'll want to get yourself one of these canisters. This is butane gas, and typically it's sold in kitchen stores, smoking stores where you can buy cigars and things like that, or cigarette lighters, DIY and hardware stores. When you take the top off, it has a single nozzle with a hole just here, and generally those will automatically fit your torch. However, your cap, you see it has all of these little circles here. If you look on the inside, each of these circles is a different nozzle, and in the event that the nozzle on the can didn't fit, then you would need to pick one of the nozzles from the cap. But generally speaking, they generally all fit the torches. Generally, if you've only got a lighter with a very small filling port, do you need one of those. So to fill, take it off the stand, and on the bottom of the torch here you have a little nozzle with a pin and a hole, and that matches up to the nozzle and the hole on your can. And remember what I said about how much you fill. If you fill up a lot, even if your torch is on the low setting, you're going to get a larger flame. So I like to fill mine up just around 2 seconds, and that's more than enough. So I put the nozzle here on top of the pin here, and then just press the two together firmly for a couple of seconds. And that's it. You may get a little bit of gas escaping as you're doing that, You see a slight bit of vapour, but for the most part it's all now going in the torch. And now my torch is refilled and ready to go again. And now the flame is a little bit more than it was before. So what does the torch do and why might you want to use it? Well, the torch, generally speaking, is used to lightly warm the paints and the oils, and by warming them it makes them that little bit more fluid. It expands the oil and helps it to move up through the paints, and by creating movement in the paints you move the lower paints up through the higher ones, and that's what creates the cells. So you can use your torch to encourage extra cells in your painting. You can also use it once your painting is finished just to go lightly over the top of the painting and pop any air bubbles, because if there are bubbles in the paint, when that dries back you'll end up with little pinholes where those bubbles were, and then the surface dries and the air bubble becomes apparent. So even if you don't want to use your torch to make cells, then I still recommend getting one and just lightly going over the surface of your wet painting to pop any air bubbles so that you won't be disappointed in the finish. However, I appreciate that not everybody feels comfortable necessarily with using one of these. So at a pinch, you can use something like this. This is an oil-filled barbecue lighter. Just on the back here, it has, as you can see the little window, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see, but it has like oil inside, or I don't know whether it's an oil, liquid gas, what it is really, but it operates in the same kind of way. It has a safety button, so you press the safety button and there we go. You see this flame is very different. It's yellow, it's very, very quiet, there's not much goes on, but you can still use it the same. It's not as scary as this one. You can just lightly put it over the surface of your painting and that will still pop the bubbles. So in the event you're a little bit nervous about using one like that, you can definitely use one like this too. So that is our acrylic pouring snippet for today. What the torch does, how to use it, what features to look out for, and how to fill it. I hope that's been useful. If you have any other ideas for acrylic pouring snippets, just let me know. I'm always happy to help. Look forward to seeing you over at acrylicpouring.com very soon.